All right, we live. What is up, my friend Andres? How you doing today, my friend? Welcome back to the To Be Alive podcast special series, Saints in Pairs.
How you doing?
I'm, I'm doing great. I'm doing great, man. How about you?
Pretty good. Coming off a cold. It's Friday. Um, a lot of good movement this week. I feel like this week flowed pretty nicely.
Incredible. We'll get into all of it. Before we jump in to our podcast episode today, we talked earlier this week and we wanted to try something different, just to experiment. So what I'm thinking, and let me know how you feel about this, and we talked about it, but I just want to make sure it feels good to you right now,
Mhm.
is when you feel and when I feel like the other person is speaking something from their heart and there's just a lot of emotion behind what's being said, I want to personally practice letting that land. So, what that might look like while we talk is you may say something, and I want to sit in what you're saying for about 5 to 10 seconds, which is going to feel very awkward and probably for
Especially
those
for the
listening.
listeners. Yeah. Yeah.
But the purpose of the space is so that I can truly tune into what you're saying and kind of the heart behind what you're saying so that I become more comfortable with space because I have a tendency, as you know, to jump into like analysis,
hmm
and that might leave you feeling unseen or unheard. And that's never my intention. But I have a fear of that space. And so I personally want to practice that. I feel like it comes a little more naturally to you. So how do you feel about making that kind of an experiment for today's episode?
Absolutely. I think I was reminding myself of why we even do this podcast. Because I was maybe 30 minutes before this, I was like, yeah. So what are we going to talk about? And then I was like, the whole point was to come together and connect and like process things together, work through things together, also hold a space where we can like visually hold our growth and then like look back on it. Um, and when I like remembered the purpose, I was like, okay, it's not about performance, it's not about audience, it's like for ourselves. Then it's like it's a lot more invigorating, it's a lot more exciting. So yeah,
Hell yeah.
obviously, bro.
And as we move forward, if you feel like there's anything you want to practice or experiment with, like we can also both do that together too. So I'm
Yeah,
open.
the other thing that we had brought up, and if I don't know if you're willing to do it, is like maybe gently pointing out to the other person if you feel like they're just running off or like trying to perform or trying to respond out of like an obligation. I don't know exactly the cue, but maybe saying like, "Hey, do we need to take a breath, or are we in this moment right now?"
Perfect.
Um,
Are we in this moment right now? I
are
love
we
it.
in this moment right
Ooh. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Let's do this. I'm
now?
stoked, man. Okay, and the other thing we talked about, which I would still want to do, is do you want to do a quick 1 minute, just settle in? And I invite anyone listening to this
Mm,
to also settle in with us. We're basically going to do a closed eyed meditation. And obviously, if you're driving, please don't close your eyes. But you can drop into your body at least if you're moving right now, if you're walking, and just feel the breath coming in and out. Feel any energy that's in your body, anything that's coming up, any tension you feel. So I'm going to set a timer for 1 minute right now, and then I will let you know when to come back. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, let's come on back. I love that. Ooh, how was that for you?
Good. It's like the beginning of every good meditation where you hear all the thoughts that want to start creeping in and getting your attention. And I was just like, and the little thing that came to my heart that actually pushed them away well was like, let tomorrow's worries take care of themselves. Um, so like these things that my mind wanted to think about to get done, it's like they're gonna get done. Let tomorrow be the time.
Thanks for sharing.
And what about you?
By the way, I'm already trying to practice. Um, I felt myself worrying about, do I look weird with my eyes closed with the camera recording?
Hey,
And I felt the tension of that, and I sat in the tension of that. And obviously, 1 minute's not a long time for meditation, but
mm,
it might be if you're not used to meditating. But I didn't really get a chance to settle into that feeling more. But it was interesting that that was there. This feeling of,
mm.
I need to be a certain way, I need to look a certain way, I need to act a certain way. That was very much there, and I felt the tension of it in my body. It's kind of cool.
It's amazing that you're just becoming so comfortable naming and talking about it. Like these are the things that it's an insecurity. And an insecurity wants to like hide and have control and kind of make you feel uncomfortable in your skin. But then when you just make it so present and true and in the light, I don't know, I feel like it loses its power.
Yeah. So you mentioned, I want to jump into some of the things that you mentioned earlier, just around a lot has been coming up for you this week. Anything that you want to start off with? Anything that is feeling ready to share?
Okay, so something kind of crazy happened. But I have a friend, we have a friend, but I haven't shared this with you yet, that I notice, so I have a big set of social network and I like to have many friends and I like to get deep with many friends. And most of my friends, there's like really low expectations around, what they think. If you don't keep up with them too much, you call them when you can, you see them when you can. But sometimes in life, you'll find people where you get close to them, and then if you don't see them for like a week or so, they're kind of like, "Hey, where are you? Where you been?" Um, and this one friend in particular, I think I've noticed this pattern of we get close for a couple days in a week. We don't hang out for like a week, and then we'll hang out again. And they're not a they're not super accustomed to that because of whatever reason. And I've basically like explained myself over time. I've been like, yeah, I just I want to go see this other friend. It's not that deep, or I have other people that I've been seeing, and the tendency when that happens is typically to like avoid or like push away of like this person's being clingy. Kind of want to like, give me space, leave me alone. Um, and today they had a full circle moment. This has been going on for like at least like a month. I had a full circle moment where they came to me, and in these moments, I feel like I'm in a lose lose. If I tell the person, like if they reach out, hey, can you hang out? And I'm just like, I'm sorry, like I can't. And I feel like they get butthurt. No matter what I do, it doesn't matter how I soften the blow, I feel like it's going to hurt them a little bit. It feels like I'm going to lose lose. I love you, and I want to go see this friend, and or maybe sometimes it's even like, we hung out twice this week. I know you kind of wanted to hang out this other time, but I really want to go do something else, and so I just wanted to let you know. And I really hate lose loses. And I've explained it. They see it, they're aware of it, but it still happens. And I'm like, I don't want to feel like the bad guy when I'm being myself, when I wouldn't do this if I didn't also allow you to do it. You're allowed to do this to me at any time. And I want you to have a full social life and have things to do and cancel on me when if it comes up and it happens. Great. I'll have another thing to do, you know? And today they're like two people got upset at me because I haven't been reaching out as much. And when they want to hang out with me, I either switch up the plans or I'm being way more flowy instead of being like, when we set a hard time, I'm just like, like we'll see how it plays out on Saturday. And they called me out and got mad. And she was like, and for the first time ever, I understood. I like felt a little like suffocated of like, let me be. I kind of feel like you're entrenching on my freedom a little bit. Um, And I remember the first time I felt that, I must have been like 19, max 21, where I forgot to answer my text for the first time ever to a friend that was close to mine. And then they kind of took it personally. And maybe it happened to somebody else. And then they were like, bro, what's up with you? And I'm like, bro, I don't know. I'm just living life. And I feel like this is a pivotal moment in everyone's like journey as you become an adult or grow up and you have, work, you have obligations where it just becomes normal to just slip the ball in a small way, but you still love them. You can believe this idea that I still love you, even though I didn't answer this text and I didn't get to your call, I didn't get to these plans. And I think this is a big one too, because even you and you've even acknowledged it before but told me like, I think if I ask you to 3 or 4 plans, I'll invite you to like everything. And then you'll like say no to the first one, and then you say no to the second and third, and maybe you'll be like, okay, now I feel bad. I don't want to be saying no. And I'm like, bro, come if you can, come if you can't, whatever. I mean, if you can't come, you can't come. But there's still like this belief we have of like, if I keep saying no, maybe he's not going to want to hang out with me anymore. He doesn't actually love me. And I just thought it was a huge moment where I didn't think she was going to get it for a while. And because she finally was on the receiving end, like she experienced the thing that allowed her like start making sense of it. Um, that's like on an emotional standpoint. When I was saying a lot was happening, it was like a lot of moving pieces with like work and things just kind of like falling into place in a fun way. But
Mm. So wait, I want to make sure I understand. So the friend understood recently, like yesterday, today. I'm not sure
today,
exactly. Today, why or what was happening? It wasn't something personal. They understood.
and they knew it intellectually. They were like I think I know you care about me. Like obviously if I had something to do, I wouldn't be overthinking the fact that you canceled the plan or didn't reach out when I reached out. But it's in those moments when they're not, when
Mm.
they don't have something to do and they wanted this thing, and then it feels as if it's being rejected when there's not actually something happening. There's no rejection happening. It's just
Yeah, yeah. What do you think it was that changed or clicked for them? I don't know exactly who you're talking about, to be honest. And that's
uh,
okay.
it's it's the experiential knowledge. Like, so coming from a Catholic background, I was told experiential knowledge was bad. Don't have sex before marriage. Don't do drugs. Don't sin. And if you do, you need to go to confession to get cleaned up. And it's like it puts this light on like experiences aren't supposed to be good. But I've kind of always been the person that wants to like dip my toe into something and see how it actually makes me feel, and then like decide on if I like it or not. Um, and I think the reason why that's valuable is because of this example. It's like until you experience something, you don't understand emotionally what it does to you. And when if I tried to explain to somebody, I love you, but let's say you're in a relationship with your girlfriend, and every relationship, every dynamic in her whole life, if you text somebody, they're supposed to respond at some point, ideally in a couple hours. If you call someone, they're going to call you back in the day. If they make plans, you don't really cancel unless it's an emergency. and then suddenly, you're in a relationship with them, and you're just like, hey, sorry I didn't get back to you. I was with somebody else, or I fell asleep, or I can't make it to this, and they just see that as like, this guy doesn't love me, and they haven't experienced that that's okay, or even that both can be true. It's like, I guess that's one of the hardest things to swallow, that both things can be true. That you love someone and I actually just wasn't feeling it. Um, yeah, yeah. And so I think the moment she was on the receiving end and she emotionally understood what it was like to feel burdened when people were saying things about you that weren't true, of like, no, they're like, I can't, you don't really love me anymore. Like, why do we even, you're never reaching out. Like, what's going on? And she's like, it was like 1 week. I've been busy. I didn't think about it. I was just having a good time. And
Mm. Mm.
I was like, that's how I feel.
Yeah. So how did you feel when you realized that she realizes, or they?
I was geeking.
I don't know the gender of this person. I'm
Uh,
assuming she because
it's a she.
okay.
Um, and I was very like content.
Yeah.
Um, because it's crappy to be labeled a bad guy when you're doing nothing wrong.
Yeah. I feel that story. That's something that I think I've recently also learned.
Mm.
I used to be someone who would take all these things very personally. Like this person doesn't want to hang out with me. It's a, I would interpret it as it says something about me. Like I'm not doing a good enough job for this person to want to spend time with me. And as I have rewritten that story, that I need other people's validation to exist. I don't need. I don't. It doesn't. It just naturally has fallen off. Where the more I honor what I feel about who I want to spend time with and when I want to spend time with them, the more when I do spend time with them,
Mm.
the more love there is because I want to be there.
Yeah.
And just because I'm not seeing someone every week or every day or every other day or whatever it is, doesn't, like you said, doesn't mean there's no love. In fact, it means I love you so much that I need to make sure I can say no and honor
Mm.
myself. It's like it even higher act of love.
Yes, it is. But it's wild because, and she even admitted it. She's like, I've never had a friendship or a relationship that did not have a strong sense of obligation to hang out. I was like, at first I was kind of like, wow, but then I thought about it again and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's how most people live. Like,
Yeah.
like someone tells them like, yo, you're not gonna be at my party, and they're like, guess I have to go. You're not gonna come home for Christmas, or you're not gonna, go to the family gathering. Your aunt wants you to come to this wedding, and you're like, I have to go. Like, I watched, Hormozy's pretty extreme. Alex Hormozy's this like entrepreneur, and he has this thing. He doesn't go home on Christmas, and he like posted this YouTube video, and it like controversial. But I remember when wedding season started, my cousins got married, and I'm like, they're like my third cousins. I love them. If you watch this, I love you guys, but I don't expect you to come to my wedding. Don't come if it doesn't make sense. Um, like, yeah, how many things are you gonna do because you have to? And I'm like, at what point do you like? There's a balance, right? You don't just only live for you. But I want. This is the thing. I want people to live a life that they want to live more than I want them to be my friend or to do what I want them to do. Actually, like, it is a weird concept to me not to have that. And I know it's not normal, but for me, it's odd. I'm like, I don't get the whole obligation thing at all. Um, or somewhere I was gonna go with that, but it'll come back up.
That's a complete thought, man. Ooh, I felt that. I felt that. You've always been that way with your friendships?
Basically, like, and I think I was blessed because I grew up. so I grew up across the street from this guy, Matthew Ronconi. He was my childhood best friend. We literally became out the womb like friends. Like my parents were basically probably pregnant at the same time, and we went to every grade school together. He was my top bunkmate in college. Like we lived across the street in a cul-de-sac. We learned how to walk together. We bathed when we were kids together. Like so, I grew up with a best friend. So like an added layer of like companionship and best, security into the world. So and maybe another big blessing. I'm just like psychoanalyzing it, but we did everything together. We wanted to do everything together. We never questioned. There was only 1 year of our lives that we weren't close. And that was because I was hanging out with a jerk that was making me act like a jerk. And he's like, "Yo, you're a jerk. I don't want to hang out with you." I was like, "All right, good point." Um, so I came into the sense of the world with that gift, and I was like, I never understood why we always wanted to hang. There was never a reason we didn't want to. Um, and so that was my foundation.
Mm.
I heard Naval Ravikant. I heard so he tries to like go on podcasts strategically like every 1 year 2 years because he wants to have something new to say because if he doesn't have something new then he's like then I don't feel very I don't have a reason to be here and I want to make sure it's pretty good in terms of like
He's
you know
amazing.
yeah, branding. But he had this thing in the last podcast I'll never forget, and it's in this line of thinking where he goes, I want to live my life completely what other people will see as a whim in terms of following my curiosities and what I feel like doing in the moment. And he's married and he has kids and he runs a business and he has friends. And I'm like, how? And his wife loves and supports him, behind closed doors, who knows? But he's like, I'm at the point now where I call my friends that are around the world, and if they pick up and they have a moment, we connect. And if they don't have that moment and we don't connect, nothing is personal. They'll probably call him at another moment. And people see it as like phone tag. Oh my gosh, we're missing each other. And I used to stress about that. And he's like, I don't even blink twice about it. He's like, I just short circuit. And he's like, when people text me and I like can't respond or I don't want to respond, people get overwhelmed. Like they get all these like impulses that come up based on. And he's like, I've just gotten to the point where I just short circuit that I don't want to respond. And I just short circuit that I'm like, oh, I love him. I'll get it back to it later, or maybe I just don't answer. He's like, he doesn't even have email. I think he doesn't even have access to email anymore. He said something like that, and he's like, and for his like ability to get to that point peacefully, and he's like, it's very hard to find people on this level, but repeat with his philosophy. But now he's a friend that he can feel super full in anything that he's doing, um, and they all hold that. I kind of like it. It's very hard to keep up with. It's very. I still think I would rather schedule some stuff in my social life and all that, obviously, but
Yeah.
that's the extreme.
Yeah, there's a balance for sure. It's not
Hmm.
all like everything has to be kind of this magical coincidence all the time, you know, and there's definitely a balance, but and I think individually with friends we will find that balance. Like if everyone has their own way of moving,
Mm,
and I think it's part of the way we are as social creatures to kind of attune to that. And then when there's that mutual, when both people are trying to attune to one another, it becomes very harmonic. Like, okay, this person likes
mm,
some structure, but maybe not a lot of structure, or the opposite. They like a lot of structure, but not too much structure, right?
mhm.
Yeah. Something that I want to come into my head for a second
Do
because
it.
I want to let my mind run for a sec. Something that is this is paralleling for me as you're talking about this because I think this is huge, and I think anyone listening to
Mm,
this can relate.
fair.
And it really parallels this idea of like how in relationships we have secure relationships.
Yes,
This is
yes.
like secure friendships. It's the same idea of like, hey, I see you, I love you for who you are, and through my words and actions, I hope you feel that. And then we're gonna have our own code of how we show up for each other, and
Mm,
I'm gonna honor that, whatever that is. And if that means I don't see you for a month, that doesn't mean I don't like you. But like none of this has to be explicitly communicated too much. It's just like you just understand. Like maybe you talk about it at first with someone because not everyone's at the point where they can just like telepathically send these signals to people. But I feel like there's something here where this is what we're describing, what you're talking about is kind of a higher level friendship. It's like a higher trust, higher security friendship with people. And I think the major point here is it's not about anyone else on
Mm,
this. It's about you. It's about how you show up for yourself, right? And that's the standard from which you're going to operate and how you're going to treat others as well, right? So like in your private time, the way you show up for yourself in terms of, am I doing the things I want to do? Am I doing things I don't want to do? Like as you honor that rhythm within yourself, naturally it's going to extend to people too, right? And then
mm,
that's where you can be like, oh, I don't feel like spending time with this person today. Just not feeling that energy right now. I want to be with me, or I want to be doing something more chill or more exciting or whatever it is. You know, like I invited you to a bunch of different like club experiences in the first few weeks when I moved here. And like I listened to very different kind of music than, you listen to. And at first you came because you were open to it, but then you attuned to it and you realize, you know what, this is not my vibe.
mhm.
And like I didn't take that personally. Like we're still homies. We're doing a podcast together now,
Facts,
And
facts.
that was not, I didn't feel that as a rejection at all. I was like, actually, this is incredible that I have a friend who can say no,
Mm,
who can like, he loves himself enough to follow through on what he believes, how he wants to spend his time. I thought that was beautiful. And it extends to the way I text you. Like, if you don't
mm.
respond to me for like 6 hours, it's all good. Like, if you send me one word as a response, it's all good. I don't care.
It's love, because we have a mutual understanding.
Yeah.
That's fair. I
Yeah.
think I think that is a good point, though. There are people that, based on whatever reasons, they come into the world and they want more security, and other people just feel more security. But I think something that I'm grateful for is that regardless, there are things that can help people feel more secure up to a certain point, and then after that, they need to like learn how to ride on their own. Like I provide all I'm like, I like you. I like hanging out with you. That's why I'm friends with you. It's very clear. I'm gonna keep doing that. I'm not gonna just suddenly disappear because you're not gonna just suddenly change. And if life takes us a different path, we do a different thing. But it's like, you know,
Yeah. It's so much easier, right, to live that way.
it's so nice. It's so nice.
Anything else alive for you on that right now?
I think our friendship is a great example of the value of friendship. But last week I had a book club that this girl I met, she's awesome. She invited me to go volunteer at the flood disaster relief. After like the floods that happened in Texas, she just wanted to find people that would be willing to volunteer, and so I went with her. And this book club was about platonic. The book was platonic friendships, and she's like, everyone overemphasizes romantic relationships, but they undervalue the beauty of friendships, and they don't build as intimate of friendships because of it. And I think of your friend, shout out your friend who listened to our first pod and gave you the advice of like, guys don't connect like this, guys don't get close like this. And it's sad because what happens is they often will meet, they want this in somebody and they think it's only appropriate in like a woman, but then there's like too much egg in a basket, like it's just too heavy for them. And it's just like, I'm so grateful for this friendship, for that as an avenue, but it's also that I have a couple friendships that I'm like, they're not romantic, and I can go and I have a listening ear, and I also have someone to mess around with. And it's like when shit is hard, I have people I can call, and that will be there at 11 p.m. at night or 1 in the morning if everything hit the fan. And I'm like, that's so much, that's a richer way to live. And especially in romantic relationships, they're volatile because you don't there typically there's a destination. You either end up together or you don't. In friendships, it doesn't have to be like that. You could be friends forever or for a season and come back together. It's harder with romantic. So it's something else that comes up when I think about this. I'm like, dude, get some good friends, man. Get some good
Yeah.
friends. Share your heart.
Yeah. Hmm. I like that. Actually, that triggered a question I want to ask you about
Mm,
romantic and platonic.
mm,
I've noticed, and I've never told this to you before, I've noticed that you have a lot of female friends. And I don't. I mean, there is. I'm sure you have to work through some of the boundaries and all that, depending on who.
It's gonna be a good conversation if you go there. I'm all for it. I keep
Yeah,
going.
I wanna learn about. And I think the audience.
Oh, this is such a good topic. I was thinking about this for you recently. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. I'm so happy you said this. I was thinking about this recently.
Love it, man. So, how do you approach platonic female relationships as a man who's attracted to women? How do you like
I love women. Keep going.
how do you set a boundary? How do you, maybe sometimes friendships become more than a friendship and feelings. Like, I'm gonna leave it kind of open, but I'd love to hear because I think you do a really good job
Mm,
navigating it. And one of the things I've noticed is you'll or let me speak. Let me share something about myself, which is I think I'm overly um, worried or
mm,
anxious about leading women on or this becoming something beyond a friendship. And so I'm a little bit closed off with a lot of women from a platonic perspective. But I see you and you have so many female friends and you've also had to deal with that where you've learned how to set boundaries. So it's almost like you don't have a fear
mm.
of navigating the messiness of that. And I'd love to hear like what has that been for you in your life? What's that journey been like and anything else that you want to talk about? Because I think a lot of people can relate to this.
This is such a good topic. And then I have a question for you that I've been waiting to ask. I wrote a list of questions for this if it came in for our pod. Um, so I'm typically a more sensitive guy. I definitely have a feminine side that most guys typically don't show, and if it's there or not, whatever. But I know that I do. And so throughout my life, it's always been easier to connect with a woman emotionally in terms of, about life. And I that's since I was young, I've always been like that. There's always blurred lines is the problem with women, with men, um, you automatically know there's a boundary because you're boys. But with women, the door's always open of like, are we ever going to be a thing or not? One of you might be thinking it, or both of you. Um, and so, naturally, not knowing that that would, consistently come up, I like had plenty of females that I was into, females that I was friends with in high school, and so the conversations came up whether I wanted to or not, and most 99% of the time it was not because I wanted it to begin with. And then it happened enough times where, this girl approached me in college and like for example, when she's like, hey, we've been hanging out a lot, and like you could tell she's super nervous and her friends were pushing her to say it because she's got a crush on me, and like um and suddenly, but then it was this beautiful moment, right? Because most guys, and this is, I'm very grateful for this, and shout out to my mom, I think maybe for teaching me how to communicate, but um, it's such a vulnerable thing, especially for a woman to bring it up first, because they don't want to feel rejected, they don't want to feel hurt, and so most of the time they'll try to ignore it, and then if it builds too much, it overwhelms them, they start acting a little erratic or whatever. But I've tried to, typically when I have these friendship with women, I'm very open and honest about many aspects of my life so that they already, not on purpose, but they end up realizing that I'm comfortable talking about difficult things. And I think that conditions them on like unspokenly to just be like, if I ever had to bring something up, I probably wouldn't get hurt because I talked to them about other friends that I've had, and how when we met and how I navigated it and how I was like, I really like her, but and how we had hard conversations and how I caught things that she was doing, and I was like, hey, like instead of just like, I'm noticing I'm feeling a lot of passive aggressiveness, like where's that coming from, and like I like to address things, then they start to realize like, hey, like that's part of his sphere of safety, like it's okay and it's safe to talk to him. um, that's like, I think probably one component. Another component is like, I've just gotten more to the point where I realize if I just give clarity early on, it helps everyone. Um,
What do you mean by that?
so
Clarity.
I talked about it last week on the pod, and it was a big moment because there's this girl, she's super sweet, she's really cute, but our values are not the same. She's really Catholic, and not in an outward way where, some other people are, but because of my views and how they've been shifting, I'm just like, I know we would clash in raising a family. And that's not just, one of these examples, but there's actually another one, and I think you basically know both of them. But both these examples, the same thing happened. The first one, I confronted it first because we were hanging out more one on one. We would go to Barton Springs, people wouldn't show up. We were having more opportunities to connect, and honestly, I just I'm just a romantic. She's adorable, this first girl, and I saw more of her heart, and I was like, dude, I'm catching a feel. Like I can't not feel it. And but I want to stay friends with her. I don't want to just do the like, oh, we just push each other away. And the way I know how to do that is just to like say my truth. And I told her my truth. I said, hey, I sent it to her. I said, call me when you're free. And I was very nervous on the phone because we had been friends for over a year, and she is a little bit avoidant, so I don't feel as much safety with her. But she did great, and I was like, hey, like I got to be honest with you. I've always found you attractive. I didn't ask you out because one of our other friends in the friend group, I thought you guys were always going to be together, and I also felt like there was like a you had a little bit of an avoidance, so I could never really read and get close enough to you where I was like, okay, this is worth it. Because I'm not the typical, I don't like the traditional dating of like, oh, you see a pretty girl, you ask her on a date, another date, and do this formality. I'm like an anti-dater. I just want to spend enough time together or informally where I'm like, I just love your energy. Like that's it. It's simple. I just love your energy. I want you around me. I want to know you like really deeply. I want to know everything about you, every corner of your heart and your mind, and I find you attractive, it's like, of course, like go out with me. Like that's how I want it to go. That's how I operate. Um, and so with her, I was like, I want to be honest. This is what I see. This and that. And I also know that your views, your religious views, are pretty strong. And I think that you want a husband that's going to go to church with you every Sunday and raise the kids this way and all that stuff. And so I just named both, and I was just confident enough. And mind you, I was also like nervous as shit. So I'm saying it in a pretty manner now, and I've gotten better at it. But certain moments and certain girls, I'm not that pretty with it, especially initially, and then I get better, But and she was like, I didn't expect this, but thank you for saying it. And then we got off the phone, and then a week later, she's like, Hey, I thought about what you said. You mind if we catch up? I came over, and then it was a beautiful conversation where she was acknowledging like, yes, these are the views I want, and so it was beautiful because it was kind of like a dating moment where now I personally have grown towards like this point of view where if I'm gonna, especially if I go on first dates, second dates with people, like I want to know their values, because if our values don't line up, there's no point in dating. There's no future. We might as well be friends. You could be the most gorgeous person on earth, but if you want me to, be a certain type of husband or have certain religious views and I don't, like we're just gonna get hurt. The chemistry will be fun, and then what? like, so I'm like, I'll feel more aligned if I just know your heart and I want to love that heart. So that's kind of how I navigate it. And I did the same thing recently with this other girl. I just sent her a voice message because she like I didn't respond to one of her texts, and she's like, "Ouch, that hurts." And I was like, "Okay, I think if I was in her shoes, I would love if somebody would tell me this." And so I just went ahead and did it. I was like, I told her on like a voice note. I was like, on the off chance that this is coming up, I want you to know that I really enjoy hanging out with you, and I really enjoy our friendship, and I think you're really amazing. And I also see that our values are different, um, and so I'm open to having a conversation about it. But I think this is an appropriate place in our friendship to talk about it, so it doesn't get messy.
Oh man, that's amazing. It's so refreshing. And even like for me, it's a different model. If anything,
Mm,
like not to be all heady again, but like it's literally a different model of how to show up.
hmm.
Like I think one thing that came up again as you were speaking. At what point do you feel like that clarification is needed? Like that articulation of like what is this is needed? Like do you feel like that happens when it's kind of blurry, too blurry, and then there needs to be a clarification?
I think it's when you notice it. For me, the first time is because my feelings were getting too large with this girl, and I wanted to stay friends with her. And so, I was also like, I think I'll have some regret if I never say this to her. So that was for me because it boiled over. And then when I started to boil over from the other girl, I didn't respond to her text. She's like, "Ouch, you're not answering me." And I was like, "Okay, like there's subtle subliminal messages being thrown, and so I'm just gonna like maybe address an elephant in the room." And we had hung out enough where like the flirting and stuff, and she had told me, this is the other thing. She had told me that she had been hurt by guys that basically did this to her. She found attractive, she flirted with for like a year straight, and it really hurt her. And we'd only been doing this for like a month. And so I was like, I'm going to jump the gun
Hmm.
because I know her heart just enough from this story. And because I care about her, even if this wasn't on her radar, I think a mature person would like value this. So I jumped the gun. But I think at some point when you notice either in yourself, you got to bring it up, Or if you notice the person's acting kind of funky, then you either tell them, hey, like I've noticed this, or you say that and see how they respond, and then that'll tell you if like that's the thing that's causing it.
Got
Um,
it. Got it.
it's got to be said at some point in a close female male friendship. You can't get around it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had so many experiences in the past, like I'm talking the last 10 years, where like a good female friend will, like, in a very, in a very respectful way, like let me know, like, hey, I'm developing feelings for you or whatever. And I would not handle it with grace.
Hmm.
Because,
How would you typically say?
oh, you're gonna put me on blast.
Hey man, we're growing, baby. We're growing.
I mean, I don't think I was like an asshole by any means to these women, and some of which are still my friends today. But it was usually like, I don't, something along the lines of thank you for sharing that, but I don't feel the same way.
Hmm.
And but like there was no, I don't think I was personally even in a place in my life, in my growth,
Hmm.
to consider how that might land for them, and maybe consider some of the more subtle dynamics that are going on, kind of like what you mentioned. So I don't think I would be able to even, at the time, like I'm talking literally 10 years ago, like there's no way I would have known any better than just to say what I said at the time. But it did create, like, I don't feel like I ever had a clear, like, it made things weird basically after that.
Fair, fair.
So if I spent time with that person again, I would remember, oh, like they said something about having feelings for me. So like, what is this? Are we hanging out from that place? Are they expecting something to happen? Right. And then that's my own, and the reason why I'm feeling that is because that's how I feel too. Right.
Fair, fair.
Like I've had romantic experiences in the past where, like, I'm with a woman who I'm very attracted to, and I'm hoping something's going to happen. Right.
Yeah,
I can,
same.
I confess my feelings. So like, I'm projecting basically, but that is kind of the state I was in. And I think that's been one of the patterns that I'm now aware of. And I just see the way you navigate your female friendships, and it's so beautiful. And like, you teach me, from just the way that you move. Um, yeah. So there's more I can say about that, but I think I'm good for right now.
Thank you. The There's something I was gonna say about this. It's also very like the way someone responds is very individualistic. Like if someone came to me and said, "Hey, I have feelings for you," somewhere in there the message is gonna have to be relayed of like, "I don't feel the same way," because that has to be said to be fair. If I don't feel the same way, um, but I think the key difference that I notice really helps in general is that I just have a really open channel of communication in my friendships, period. Like I meet someone off the street and I'll have like and if they're in our friend circle and they just met them, I'll talk to them as if I want to know them. And I'll divulge stuff about myself that, has some, some vulnerability. And so I just like breaking the third wall. I don't like leaving things in this like space of, does he mess with me? Does he not? I'm just like, yeah, yeah. And I think it can be a blessing and a curse, but mostly a blessing.
It's a blessing. Doesn't mean you have easy conversations with everyone all the time, but it's a blessing, man. It's creating clarity where there was none
Yeah,
before.
that's the big one.
Yeah.
And I think it's both men and women in this world, like they really they really love that and they really like don't get that. Like there's a lot of like I hear like Peter panning or just like not like you don't know what the vibes are and you don't want to be the person to, like kind of throw it in, but I don't know. I even respect women. This is I'm gonna put it like a piece up there in the air, but like when women have approached me, there's one girl I'm thinking of in college, and she's like, I know you like hanging out with me. And like I think you're attractive and I like you. And like, if you don't do anything about that, great, but I just want you to know. And I was like floored. I was floored. And honestly, I was like kind of like shit, now I kind of want to go out with her. Like I was it got me more attracted to her because of how much she just didn't like she just owned it. He just owned it with this like it's the with or without you energy. It's the with or without you energy, and I'm like, shit, what's up, mama? And I was like, yo, and honestly, she was like a kind of a ride or die. Um, and we ended up having an amazing like we dated for a little bit. Um, it ultimately didn't end up. But honestly, if she didn't do that, I think I would have just been clowning. Like I wasn't mature enough at that age yet to kind of like want to be in somewhat of a commitment with a friend, but she was right, and I was about it. Um,
Yeah. It's like, oh man, there's so many examples of just what happens when you're just real,
yeah,
right? Like so much
insane.
fucking shit just opens up for us when we're just real.
Yeah,
Um, it's hard though. It's not easy to say that.
hard.
It's This is about telling the truth, right? Like truly, to tell the truth, you have to be aware of what your truth even is, and so that in itself takes a lot of self
Mm,
work or whatever. But it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm glad we're talking about this, man. This is
same.
something personally that I've really grappled with much in my life.
S- Fair, and I'm happy you brought it up. So I was thinking about this for some reason. You came up with my heart this week, and I was like, I really had a desire for you to be comfortable and be friends with women and it not have a prerogative. Um, and even here, like I'll share this because I think you'll be comfortable with it. Like even Ashley, our friend, and Ashley, you'll know this now, but it's not a big deal. Like you opened up to me the other day and you were like, I just now am becoming comfortable with being friends with her because she's so warm and friendly and like welcoming. And when I first became friends with her, I was averted to it. And I remember talking to you about it and you were like, "Yeah." And then and then you did the same thing, but then you're like, "I kind of feel like I'm letting my guard down a little bit." And I remember in the inside being like, "This is huge." Because it also just like lets go of the fear of intimacy as a whole. Like women are like represent intimacy in our lives.
Well, you're spitting right now. Continue.
Bro, women represent intimacy in men's lives like crazy. And the more beautiful they are, for some reason, we correlate it with more intimacy, which is not true. But it's like if we can be comfortable with receiving from a girl, even if she's friends with us, it can open up a channel in our heart that allows us to like love them better. It allows us to love ourselves better. It allows us to be more selfless. It allows us to come with like a different sense of just a different energy when we're with women. And then when it comes to like a romantic partner, it'll all like a girl that you meet romantic, you find her attractive, would have like desensitized from all these like fears of receiving this and it needing to be. It's like if I meet a beautiful girl and it doesn't work out, I'm gonna be a little bummed. I'm gonna be a little sad, but I'll still have my other female friends that when I talk to them, I like still want the best for them. I still love the female heart, and I'm like, and there are still other people out there that I'll connect with. Um, I don't know. And so I thought about you this week, and I was like, when I heard you bring that up about Ashley, I was like, I want more of this for him.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you for saying that, and I feel it too. Um, Ashley's probably listening to this, so I want to say thank you to her. Thank you to you, Ashley, because
Mm,
I'm learning from literally you, Ashley, as you're listening to this. I'm learning how to soften into the female kind of presence. It's just not been something that I've ever been able to do. I'm being very vulnerable sharing this right now. Um, I'm very rigid, I feel, around women for some reason. So, yeah, I feel like both of you are teaching me, you and Ashley are teaching me so much about just it's okay. It's okay to just be who we are. And, you two represent different kind of archetypes for me in my life. And yeah, like I don't know what's going to happen from here, but like I feel like there's a shift in my desire even,
mm,
like where in the past I was kind of autopilot about this. If I'm around like a woman and I feel some energy, I like let me back away from this. Where that existed in the past, now I'm more curious about it. Like what's going on here, and I think only good things can come from that
mm.
curiosity. So
You know, it's such a good shift, and it's like it's the start of always all good things come like with a change in desire. And also, this is the last thing I'll like drop on this like train is wanting to know a girl's heart just to know her heart and not have any romantic anything to gain, anything like that. I think for me can start off as a friendship. Um, don't get me wrong. I think you need to be attracted to her beforehand for the most part for guys. But I'm like, I want to be the kind of guy that if I meet a beautiful girl and I would have wanted it to work out, and it doesn't, because she doesn't find me attractive like that, she doesn't want me like that, she just wants to be friends, that I would still wish her the best and I could talk to her so that she still knows that and I'm still myself. Like that for me is, I think, the journey. Like that's it for me. Because then you really won the boss battle of being able to talk to any woman and it being pure and aligned. Literally. Because I'm like, I literally just want the best for you. Like I want to know you. I think you're beautiful. I own that. And also I just want to know you because you're you. And if it turns into something, wonderful. And if it doesn't, you're still fucking wonderful because my heart walls came down and I'm not scared to just talk to you. Um, is it still hard when it's a beautiful woman? Yes. But it's easier.
Hmm. Oh, this is so big.
This is so big,
This is
it's
huge,
crazy.
man. This is like I feel like anyone listening to this, any straight male listening to this is going to be able to relate at some level. Like this is such a universal thing.
It is. It is.
And I think the world is going to heal at
Mm,
a quicker pace the more that we understand what we're talking about here. We understand how to be friends, not just like
yes.
intellectually, but like actually what it takes, what it means
Mm,
to let our hearts open to the opposite sex.
yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It's not to be run from. It's to be like welcomed. Maybe even run to.
Yeah. Like, dude, the funniest thing about this right now is I literally just had lunch with someone who was in my, my graduate class,
Mm,
my graduate school like class from back home in LA. I just had lunch with her today. I've never really hung out with her one on one before, and I felt the rigidity. And this is hilarious that we're talking about this right now. This is like 3 hours, 4 hours ago.
mm,
I felt myself like, oh, I don't want to give the wrong impression to this person. I don't want to come off
mm,
as like, oh, I'm interested in you because I agreed to hang out with you one on one and get lunch with you. It's like, oh, there's
mm.
like this pretext of, are we kind of going on a pseudo date here? Like,
Classic. It's classic because we're conditioned like that, bro, and we don't have enough reps. And also, we fear that if it was addressed, what would we say? Oh, it's so true. That's such a good example. It literally just happened.
it just happened. And I, I had a good time. We had a good conversation. Like,
Mm,
if I can just speak about this, and I don't know if she's listening to this, but at first it was very surface level, like
mhm,
just catching up, kind of like, as you would with someone you haven't seen in a while. And then me being where I am now, which I'm proud of, I was able to share kind of the truth of like where I am in my life and the things that interest me and excite me, which is very different than maybe the version of me that she knew 2 years ago in school, in grad school. And so as I was opening up more about that, not from a place of like, look at me, look at all this cool shit I'm doing, not from there, just from a like, I have genuine love for the life I'm living now and I want to share it with whoever you are. She also opened up about things. And it was so cool because I went from being kind of like pseudo engaged in the conversation to being very engaged. And then I was like, this is interesting. Like I have never like this is not a romantic thing by any means for me, but at the same time, it's also not like my whole life I've operated this binary of like I get completely platonic, zero emotionality, and extremely romantic, like love, all the crazy feelings that go with that. But
mhm.
I'm learning now there's like a middle
Yeah.
with women that's just like, hey, there can
Yes.
be some emotions exchanged between us, and it doesn't have to mean that we're over
Mm,
here on this side of romanticness or
yes.
romance, whatever, and that's okay. And like that's part of the experience. That's part of what it is to like connect with everyone, regardless of what their gender is, whatever. And there's this whole side I've been missing, and like,
Mm,
oh man, this is such a timely conversation. And like
yeah.
after I left, so we had lunch and then we went to get like ice cream after. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is so datey. Oh god. And like I felt myself closing down the more I
Yes.
kept thinking like this feels like a date now,
Yeah.
right? And and then I was driving home and I was like, I couldn't actually make sense of what just happened. And so this is actually helping me understand that. It's all good. It's
It
all
is.
good.
And the craziest part is, I don't know if this, are you gonna see this girl? Does she live here? Does she live back home?
She lives back home. I'm not going to see
Okay,
her.
well then that's even more of like a, it's such a good example. Because it's like it's so easy and so fair to think like, oh my God, we're going to get ice cream. I would do that on a date. Is it a date? Is like it's the pattern is the same. The actions are the same. The thing you're doing is the same, but the intention and the heart and the intimacy, the level of intimacy is where it's different, you know. Um, but you can get to the point where you had the deepest conversation in the world, and you guys were looking at it like, both of you guys were looking at each other like, shit, are we about to have a moment? Or like, is this like a moment that's happening? What does this mean? And that could also be welcomed and nothing happened, and also be like, she goes back home and maybe she reaches back out in a couple weeks, feels like, I was thinking about this. I'm not saying this example, but let's say in the fantasy world, someone does that and it's like, hey, I was thinking about that conversation. I just really loved it. And, thank you so much for that. You're like, you're such a wonderful person. You're a gift in my life. And that could still also mean we don't have to be romantic partners, and that someone could just share a moment that they're like, hey, I care for you and I'm grateful for that day. You changed my perspective and I hope you're well. And that's like intimacy that can be received and just settled. It doesn't have to lead to an action, and it can be brought up and it could be a welcome conversation where, maybe you guys run into these people run into each other again. Same thing happens. She grows feelings. She brings it up. And then what can be welcomed is like, maybe I feel this way, maybe I don't, and just owning it and being like, I also love hanging out with you. I love our conversations, and also I don't feel like drawn to like have a romantic relationship. I don't see it. You don't have to give reasons, or if you feel like there's a clear one that's loving, you can give it. It's just like, but the space can be held for all of it. And that's
Yeah.
like the thing that yeah, I've even went through seasons where I didn't know how to do that well because I was being programmed from like religious communities that it was inappropriate. I was told, okay, I'm gonna be very transparent too. I'm a huge flirt. I love flirting. I'm Hispanic. It comes natural to me. What I see is flirting, or what I see is just being playful and fun. Like most cultures read into like me, like I'm super into them, and it's not true, but it is my nature, and I see it, and I've also like been told enough. Where I'm like, okay, I get it. Um, that being said, it just makes me more conscientious. But I went through a season of like I shut that part of myself down because I thought it was wrong. You lead people on, lead people on, lead people on. And then eventually I was like, but this is me. I'm not going over here like touching every girl's arm, touching her back, like kissing her kiss in the cheek, like looking at her eyes and doing all this crazy stuff. But I'll have a little moment where I'll elbow them and I'll like make a joke. And I'm like, life can be fun like that. And it's like, and if it builds and someone says something, great. And if it doesn't build and they also know how to just have fun and they don't see me that way, or they're not reading into it, and then it's like great. But like it's part of being human and truthful and being a guy and being a woman. Like there's moments to be playful.
Yeah. Oh man. Woo!
uh,
I cannot believe this is an hour. I'm like, dude,
I know there's just
all of my performative stuff is like out the door right now.
yeah,
And I'm literally stumbling over my words because this is so relevant and so like exactly the conversation that I was meant to have at this point in time in my
mm.
life. Like, bruh, wow, wow.
I love this. I love that this is happening. Uh, Oh, wait, can I ask so I don't want to share my screen because then you'll see all the questions that I had written. But I have one last question. I don't know if you want to wrap it up at an hour to
We
keep
can
it.
take the time. There's no limit, dude. Let's keep going.
Heck yeah. So, you want to know the first question I wrote down the moment you and I got off the phone on Wednesday when you talked when I came over and you're like, "Hey, we talked about the pod and whatever these ideas." I left, and immediately after I left, I voice noted and wrote it in my notes. And this is the first question. Why have you been resisting Ashley's love? I can't make this up. I cannot make this up. Can I share my screen because this is like too much? Like I want an audience to know that I'm not BSing.
Yeah,
Um,
there should be a button at the bottom of your screen that says share. Do you see that?
uh, honestly, I don't want to share because I realize there's a note at the bottom of this. I'm gonna share this. Um, uh, I'm gonna do this because there's one thing at this note that I'm like, maybe not. But here, this is the two questions that I had, two things to discuss about. Um, Today I reflected on it. Can you see this on the chat still?
No.
Uh,
Oh, I see the chat. Yeah.
yeah, but either way, just for you to see. Why we are resisting Ashley's love? The reality of male female friendships are different, and I understand. Um, and then like just some random stuff, reflecting on a journal of an ex, and like realizing my pattern with like certain like 2 years later, I like saw a letter that I wrote a girl who she wanted to date me. It was the same situation, and I also liked her and I wanted to date her, but I felt so misunderstood. So I wrote her a letter, and I just had this like reflective moment of like the types of women that I date and attract, and how I used to like be really crappy at handling moments where they're anxious and I'm just being avoidant, and now it's like I welcome it and I hold it and I receive it way better. And I used to just be like, I don't know how to deal with this,
Mm.
shut down, like what the hell's going on? So I had like a yeah,
Yeah. These are
crazy.
these are great questions slash topics. But do you want to? Are you asking me why was I resisting Ashley's love? Is that the
Yeah,
question?
sure, bro. I want to hear it. I want to hear it.
I think there's a part of me that always historically has, and this is going to sound like I'm full of myself, but I'm just going to let it rip.
Rip it.
There's some part of me that has believed that if I allow a friendship with a woman to develop, they'll develop feelings for me.
It might even be true.
And I had an experience early in my life, like when I was 18 years old, where I dated somebody, or we dated very briefly, but without getting into the whole thing, we were in this back and forth dynamic for years.
Mm,
And basically, I wanted that person to commit to a relationship, and she didn't want to because she had someone else in the picture from the past. And I kept chasing this person, and we would keep hanging out, we would keep having fun, we would keep doing very coupley things, but without any label. And that experience was so, like, at the time, very traumatic for me because I felt played with for a long time.
mm,
I felt like this person wasn't able to be real with me and clear about what it is they want out of our friendship, even though I felt like there was a lot of romance mixed in. And so I think after coming out of that, some part of me hardened and it was like, I am never, and this is the funny thing, is because I believe that this is a good thing. I believe this is coming from a good place. I was like, I'm never going to lead another woman on the way I was led on by this woman. And I have kept that stick up my booty. It's deep, man.
wow,
Yeah.
that is deep. The fact that you literally named the thing that was a vow you made to yourself out of pain not to do something, and it chained you.
It changed me.
No, it chained. It like chained.
Oh, chained. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
like chained you down. It didn't allow you to like develop and grow in this.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the way I've lived most of my life. I mean, like pretty much all my life since then, in the last 12 years. And so the reason I'm resisting Ashley's love is not because of Ashley. It's because
Mm,
of this story I've been telling myself of I can't be close to women because I will lead them on. And therefore, the only woman I can be close to is a woman I will date or I'll be with, my
mm,
partner. That's the only person I can be intimate with. Every other woman, unfortunately, has to remain at arm's length away from me because I might hurt them. Like, there's a fear that I might hurt them,
yeah,
basically.
yeah, yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. And with Ashley, like, she's so, as you know, Ashley, as you know, as you're listening to this, you are such a loving person. Like, you do not hold back with words and with your being of how much you appreciate those around you, how much you love those around you. And for me, it was, first of all, like that amount of love is so foreign in general. That was
Mm,
immediately like, is this real? Is this not real? What's going on? You know,
yeah,
I don't trust this. And then that was kind of supported by the story of, anyways, I can't get close to this person because this might happen. You know, I might hurt her or whatever. And so, therefore, let me keep an arm's length distance from her, right? And I think it was you and I talked about it. I started to pick up that you noticed this, and we never directly talked about this, but it was like I kind of picked things up as we're speaking, and I noticed like, wait, you're kind of really gently pointing this out that hey, there's something here to be examined.
Mm.
And then it wasn't until this week, to be honest, and I'm gonna get the thing. Hold on.
Yo. Yo.
So I was having a rough day on Tuesday, a couple days ago, and long story short, Ashley and Andres made this for me. I woke up to a text saying, "Hey, we left you a surprise at your door," and it was that sign. And obviously, Ashley wrote that. That is a woman's handwriting.
I didn't write it. Shout out Ashley.
And I just ever since everything just clicked of like, no, this is real love. This is real. There's no performing here. There's nothing other than just pure love and appreciation. And I realized that I've been resisting it. I've been resisting all of it because like letting love in is also just something difficult for me given my cultural upbringing. Like I grew up like South Asians are like the opposite of Latinas in terms of how we receive love, just so you know.
I'm dead.
So I've just it's just never been something that came easy to me. But that's starting to shift and I'm learning to let it in. And actually I'm just grateful that you're in my life to teach me this lesson.
Mm,
To teach me how to allow and receive love because it's everywhere. It's abundant. If we just let ourselves open up to it, it's literally everywhere.
mm.
From the smile that the cashier gives you, to your friends giving you a big fat hug, like to everything in between, to the occasional hi
Everything.
someone says while you're walking in the street. It's just love everywhere. And like I have just not seen it for so long. So yeah, man, that's the story I think. And I now my job, my work is to embody and integrate this understanding. And that's where the magic happens, right? Like I can give you all the heady intellectualization of this all day long, but how do I show up in the world? How do I show up differently? Like that's
Mm.
really what I'm excited to explore now. So
That's
yeah.
crazy because you've been integrating so quickly. I've only known you, I keep forgetting it's only been like 2 or 3 months. I don't even know anymore. Um, and yet since I met you till now, like you'll realize that something is off, and then like within a week, you're already like, you've already like completely 180'd, and I'm like, what is this guy? Like, you went from like you don't want to say no or like deny something that I ask. I'm like, hey, you want to want to go to the cold plunge? You're like, yeah, yeah, and then you're like, actually, I don't. And then I was like, he's like, yeah, I want to be able to say the thing I want. And then literally from that day forward, you're like, just say the thing that you want. And I'm like, bro, what? Like, every week you just turn and burn.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. There's actually something I want to say about this previous topic. I want to drop into my heart and really speak from the hurt. So give me a second. I really want to feel into this because I don't want to get lost
Send
in the
it,
abstraction of it.
send it.
Mm. There's a little kid in me that's dying for love from his mom.
Hmm.
Like doing all kinds of things to prove, to earn that love, and nothing ever really worked. And then he grew up around kids whose parents were visibly loving to them, and so he compared and he assumed that he's doing something wrong, that his friends are doing right to earn their parents' love. And I think that's what this all is.
Can't see it, but my body is like covered in chills.
Me too, actually. I've spent my whole life feeling like I have to earn people's love. Like I have to do something. Like I have to prove it to them that I'm worth being around, and like chasing the feeling of being accepted. And then here I come to Austin. I meet you, I meet Ashley, and like within days, I am showered and inundated with so much love. And I'm like, nah, I don't want that.
Mm, it's uncomfortable.
It's so uncomfortable. It is so uncomfortable, but I understand. And I have a lot of compassion for that version of myself that
Mm.
is still very much here right now with me in this moment.
I can't believe you could just see it just like that. What do you want to say to it?
To that younger version of me,
Mhm.
that you're enough as you are. You're more than enough. And I am here with you every minute, every second. You're never going to have to walk alone ever again. And I love you.
I'm tweaking, bro. My body's like shook right now.
I can't, when I start laughing like that, it's because I cannot hold the energy of what I
I
just said.
know. I know you have to off gas.
I have to literally off gas.
Let yourself feel it.
It's so overwhelmingly powerful. That's that feeling, man. That's what I resist.
Mm, it's emotional. Emotions can be heavy.
It's like sitting in a cold plunge. That's how it feels. Like, get me out of here.
Mm,
All right.
amazing.
Anything else that's coming up for you that you want to talk about? I'm complete. Thank you for giving me that space.
Oh, dude, this was a gift. Both everything about this pod. Um, I think the last thing I'll say is I love that you were able to say, I guess to your younger self, but to yourself, just like, I'm here for you and I love you. Like, I think that's the biggest gift that anyone could ever give themselves. Like to just realize that. Like I'm sitting here being like, do you do that to yourself?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you. All right. I think with that, we will conclude today's pod. Thank you all for joining this very emotional and just beautiful episode.
Mm.
And we will catch you next time. Much love, y'all.
Cheers.